All right, gents. We are now live. Welcome, one and all, to Gotham City, where we spoil the shit out of the Batman. I'm Nick, otherwise known as Bat Nick. That wasn't a good joke. I'm sorry. Everybody's tired. I'm Nick. I got Pup, and I got Wayne. How you guys doing?
Hi, I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm not Batman.
Wayne is Batman. It has to be every time you talk about Batman on your channel.
Wayne is Batman.
You have to. You have to. And I get a nickel every time you use it. Every time.
You said we're live. Are we live on your channel on Sunset City?
We're on
or...
Sunset City.
Are we? I'm not seeing it.
No, it's here. It's here.
Is
Do you
it?
need a link to it?
I do. Just
Okay,
so I can
then.
monitor chat and everything, because it's not showing up for me. Oh, no. Never mind. There it is. Okay, it
Here's the
exists.
link. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, I just found it. You were too
that's
slow.
very inconvenient to me. I feel like I've kind of wasted a little bit of my time now.
Your blade did not cut deep enough.
My blade
Neither of
cuts
you understands
perfectly
that
deep
reference.
enough. I
Never
was
mind.
just not on time. No, that sounds like a sex thing.
No, play Xenoblade. Play a fucking game.
I don't want to play Xenoblade.
Why don't
Nick, you're casting your entire screen.
Yeah. I know. I was looking at it, and I looked back at her thing, and I was like,
don't look at our DMs.
I'm tempted. Tempted.
Why is it like that? Why do you have that?
Why?
Look at this, though. I was tempted to just have the cups from Batman Forever as our background.
Okay, I do kind of like that.
That's kind of good. I do like that.
All right.
That's funny.
All right.
You
Sorry,
just put Kiss from a Rose in my head.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while.
It's actually a good song, in my opinion.
It is. It was.
Which song?
Most of America agreed
Kiss
with
from a
you
Rose.
back in
1995.
5. Ooh, yeah. Thank you.
When they released two respective Batman films, they released Batman Forever for the credible adult audience and Batman Mask of the Phantasm for the kiddywinks. Funny how that worked out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same, they repeated that actually also in 1998 with Batman and Robin being for... I mean, they still, tried to include kids in their audience, but it was like they treated it as Batman and Robin for the credible audience and Batman Sub-Zero for the little kiddies. And once again...
Sub-Zero was got a theatrical release at all, considering...
It didn't get a theatrical release, but it was kind of released to coincide with Batman and Robin, if my understanding is correct.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, Mask of the Phantasm was the last animated, theatrically released Batman film until Lego Batman.
And then after that, we'll have DC's League of Super
right.
Pets.
Yeah, I'm just going by memory here, and yeah, and though it's weird about Phantasm, I only knew that existed because I was, I don't know, walking with one of my parents through a mall, and the poster was there because it was playing in the theaters. I hadn't seen anything for it prior to that point, and I was like, what the hell? Batman, but it's like the awesome cartoon, and it's a movie. Like, I had to see it. And it's, yeah, it was terrifying as a really, really little kid. It's amazing. Such a good
I remember
movie.
as a little kid, my parents had VHSs of Batman Returns and Batman Forever, which I just watch on repeat, like throughout the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, like, okay, I've had enough of the black Batman. Can I have the gray Batman now? And they didn't. What I meant by that was, can I have like the classic Batman as opposed to, the all black suit one? And then, yeah, they got me Mask of the Phantasm on DVD, like an import thing, Region 1, and I watched it as a kid, and I loved it.
It's a wonderful movie.
It is. It really is.
So, you guys should probably share that we are live, because I have my screen sharing now, and I can't move it from our... awesome background.
I can. It.
Okay, go for it.
Hi, I didn't see the movie. Well, Xavier, this is a spoiler cast, and we have to tell us every single time we do a spoiler cast. Do not watch this if you don't want to get spoiled on the movie, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about here. If Xavier, if you're just kidding, that's fine, but I figured we need to say that up front, because somebody's gonna get
We do actually get some people that do get a bit, like in the Spider-Man one, we had one. I was like, bro, I haven't seen it yet, and it was sincere. It's like, it says
like,
spoiler.
Why are you clicking on this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm posting it to both my Twitter and to the Susnet City tweeter.
Susnet City. Yeah, so well, the three of us have seen The Batman, the latest film featuring the Caped Crusader. This is the one I want to say directed by Matt Reeves, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Starring Robert Pattinson. Is it Pattinson? Patterson.
Yeah, it's
Battinson.
Pattinson. And yeah, it was good.
Actually,
liked it.
I'm intrigued to find this out. Right. What did you? Because you guys are Americans and stuff. What did you guys think when Robert Pattinson was saying that he wasn't going to work out for the role of Batman?
I didn't hear one way or the other. I wasn't following it that closely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even see a full trailer of this movie before seeing it.
Oh, okay. Because it was quite funny how a lot of like the American news outlets were saying, "Oh, Robert Pattinson's not working out as Batman," and there was a lot of outrage. John Campea was pretty upset about it and stuff.
Well,
Meanwhile, every British person was just snickering because we could all tell it was sarcasm, and it was just really funny.
yeah, because I was gonna say, like, if he didn't work out for that movie, if that scene where he just
No,
doesn't
yeah,
have a shirt on
he
is any
did.
indication, he didn't need it.
In the same sentence, he was saying like, "I think the Batman suit will be pink this time to like really change it," you know. And like
Oh, yeah.
people were seriously reporting on this, and I was like, "Really?"
I'm so thankful I'm not deeply ingrained in other fan bases. Sonic's more than enough for me. That sounds exhausting. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Just steer clear of Spider-Man fans, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And don't get into Doctor Who. Just don't.
Well, let's get initial impressions. Pup, I just watched your video. You did an excellent analysis and review. So I know what you think of it, but just a general idea for everybody else. What do you think of the movie?
Oh, why, thank you. And yeah, no. So, okay, just the quick version. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a Batman film that I've kind of been waiting for a very long time, as in, like, I've been hoping they would finally tap into this aspect of the character and that we get something a bit more faithful to the comics. So, yeah, this was very much my Batman. And yeah, thrilled.
How about you, Wayne?
I liked it. I thought the movie was good.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I thought the movie was good, and I think I didn't realize how much of the detective side of the character I really wanted until I actually watched this movie. I don't know if it really panned out to be a great detective story at the end there, but I definitely like the pacing of this movie. I like the growth of his character. Because when they announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be playing this guy, I expected every single thing that he showed on the screen, and I think the filmmakers were aware of that, like the very moody, broody version of the character. But like, that's kind of the point, right? He's kind of selfish. He's kind of too focused on his own scars, as they say it in the movie, and watching that growth was fantastic because it's not an origin story for Batman, but it is an origin story for Batman the superhero, which I thought was really cool.
I wanted to touch on that as well. I thought that was one of the stronger points of the movie, and it's really funny to me seeing some people out there saying that this movie doesn't understand what makes the Batman character so good, and it doesn't.
Oh, God, yeah.
It doesn't get the character, and I'm just like, I'm wondering if people saw The Dark Knight and the point of its ending was completely lost on them. Where while I was watching this, in my head, towards the end of the movie, I was hearing, The Dark Knight's Batman saying, "I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be."
Yeah.
As he's like, he's shifting what the Batman symbol is because he's seen where, like, he's led people, and I enjoyed that aspect of it a lot. That is to say, I don't mean to sound super dour on this movie. I did like it a lot. It's not my favorite live action Batman. um, I'd say it's a contender for top 3, but it didn't quite come as close to The Dark Knight for me as I was kind of hoping it was. It didn't come as close to The Dark Knight as I thought it was going to when I was watching the first like 10 minutes of this movie. The first 10 minutes of this movie are just watching a graphic novel on screen. It's
Oh yeah.
amazing.
It was really good.
Um,
Some criticism I've seen echoed quite a bit, and I noticed that this was one of the criticisms that Ben Shapiro made when he finally elaborated on his Batman comment. He basically said the whole Batman transitioning from an icon of vengeance to an icon of hope is out of character, and that's
oh, the
Superman's thing and
fuck
not
it isn't.
Batman's. And I'm just like, I don't want to sound like some gatekeepy little dicklick, but like it's really showing who the casuals are when it comes to Batman, because like I'm sorry if you didn't get the sense that Batman is a hopeful character, then you don't get Batman, because he is darkness, but he's hope in darkness. That's the whole thing.
Well, I mean, the thing is with Batman, he's been around so long, and there's been so many different iterations. I don't really go into these movies expecting like the perfect Batman, just because like you could do so many different things with him. But at the end of the day, yeah, he still has to be a hero, and the most ripped apart versions of the characters of this character are the ones that don't seem to get that. Which would be, I'm thinking of Frank Miller's The Goddamned Batman. All-Star
Oh,
Batman was just a fucking disaster.
the one that did the taboo diddly do like on top of like right next to a pile of burning corpses. That one,
Didn't they
Yeah.
also start an earthquake because of it?
something like that. Yeah, that's I feel like at some point, and I think that the Dark Knight Returns kind of had a part of this where it really started helping establish like this darker side of the Batman. Um, I feel like that's what people latched onto almost to a fault, and they kind of lost sight of what else made that character. And that's something that happens with DC characters a lot. I've noticed it happens with Superman, because people kind of tend to lose what the heart of those characters are, even if they are represented in media, but they just don't seem to understand like what the depth is there. So it's weird to me that this movie were so perfectly captures the depth of Batman, and then people thought it was out of character. It's so bizarre seeing that.
I think also going into this movie, just my overall attitude towards it, I'm kind of happy that I held this attitude. But like I get the feeling that this movie might have been wrestling with some of this when it comes to maybe some other audience members. When it comes to the live action Batman, I think anything after The Dark Knight is going to feel like an extension in a way. Like I feel like a lot of audiences kind of accepted that The Dark Knight is like the ultimate Batman film, one of the most revolutionary superhero films ever made. Like whether you love the movie or not, like it is a quintessential comic book movie. And so like going into this one, not only was this a post Dark Knight Batman film, this was post Batfleck, and like what I'm saying here is like the fickleness towards like Batfleck and that universe kind of gives every iteration of Batman going forward this weird sense of shelf life. It's like, okay, when's this one going to get rebooted then? And we already know that this is just going to be a trilogy. So I wasn't massively hyped because I feel like Warner Brothers kind of set the precedent of don't get too attached to any version of these characters because we're just going to fucking do maintenance the second someone doesn't like it.
And not only that, there's 4 different versions this year alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like fucking wait, what's the fourth one?
The Super Pets one.
Oh bloody hell, yeah, Keanu.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah, that's a bat saturation right there.
Yeah.
I forgot that was
Baturation,
happening.
if you will.
I'm glad they got this one out first, though.
Oh yeah, but that's the funny thing now is like I saw like a tweet from like DC saying like, "Oh, which DC movie are you looking forward to now?" And I was like,
The one
you
with
peaked.
Batman.
Yes. I'm not anymore. You're done for the year, I think. But the Batman, when I was looking at the promotional materials and stuff, I was thinking this does in many ways kind of line up with some of the things that I've been wanting from a Batman film. Like, it's one of those things where I think when I came out of the theater, I was with two of my friends, and one of them said they hated the movie because that's not Batman. I opted not to go into it. My response was just, really? Sorry you didn't like it, basically. And it's for me, this was very much Batman. But like even then, I've always kind of been able to enjoy Batman films, even if they haven't necessarily lined up with my idea of the character. Take Batman v Superman, for example. That Batman in that film is about as far from my Batman as Earth is from Alpha Centauri. But I
But
love the movie and I like that Batman.
well, to throw a bone towards that depiction, especially if you look at it in the context of having seen
Snyder Cut?
the Snyder Cut and where that arc was supposed to go, that was the point.
Yeah. In many ways, like people will say, like the Snyder universe is very dark, but in many ways it's not. This was a very hopeful story because it told the story of a Batman that went too far, went murderous, went dark, and was still able to come back from the edge, all thanks to Superman. And
Yeah.
that is a light story. That is a bright, beautiful, hopeful story.
And
And
and I
go
I
sorry.
well, I was gonna say I like that that theme is also kind of brought forward within this one, within Matt Reeves' Batman.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something I was worried about because when I saw the Snyder Cut, it kind of bubbled up a new level of resentment towards Warner Brothers' handling of DC for me. But one of the main things was Batman. When I saw Batman in the Snyder Cut, no, it didn't give me my detective Batman, but it gave me an element I wanted to see in a live action Batman for a long time. And it is that Batman is kind. That Batman is someone who
Yes.
cares, is deeply empathetic. I think the peak of that, and what I still consider to be probably my favorite live action Batman moment on screen, is when the fucking bat helicarrier thing swoops in and Cyborg's like, it needed to fly, flight's in its nature, and Bruce just proudly says, with like a fatherly look on his face, yours too. And then, like, when he's telling Alfred Superman will be there, it's like, how do you know? Faith. I loved that because that was a Batman who's now finally at peace with himself.
That
And
was
so,
my favorite line in that movie.
same. So, going back to seeing these trailers of this moody Batman again, who's permanently in a state of devastation, was like, fuck, the cycle begins again.
Yeah,
Don't get too attached.
I will say that there were times, and I found this a little unfortunate. There were times where either Batman or especially Bruce Wayne are interacting with other characters, and they seem to be lacking that empathy almost to the extent where he seems stupid, where he cognitively doesn't understand human emotions. And I found that a little frustrating. Uh, okay. Can if I can go ahead and get one criticism out of the way, because I thought that it was good to a point, but I felt like they touched on it and never really delved that deep into it. I don't think I understand this Alfred, or know him rather. There's very, very little of him here, and I feel like I didn't really get a good sense of what the relationship was. They have a couple of conversations, but weirdly enough, I think that the conversations with Alfred are some of the weaker moments in this movie when they aren't directly solving Riddler clues. Anytime that it's actually like an otherwise important conversation, I'm uninterested, and these characters could not feel more distant to me. And it almost feels like their chemistry completely shifts as soon as they're working on detective work, which again might be part of the point, but I I was missing a little bit of that cohesion there, where it feels like who the characters are and how they interact shifts entirely on what the scene needs to accomplish with them in that moment.
I get that, but I do think that was part of the point. I do think a part of Batman's arc in this was, learning to be a human being again.
Yes, absolutely. I was about to
Yeah.
say that. Like,
And and I did see that with Alfred, and because I do think part of it is why they didn't show the parents getting shot again, even though ironically it might have been probably the most important point to do that. Like if they're gonna do it with any Batman film, they probably should have done it here, considering how important that was. But they don't need to show it because everybody already knows. Everybody knows who Alfred is. It's these
you can kind of
subtle,
piece it together as well.
right,
Like,
and
throughout
that's what I appreciate about it. I didn't need the movie to spoon feed it to me that he's not a butler, he was a bodyguard, and there's this distance between them that he's never been able to quite solve. And it wasn't until his near-death experience, the Bruce finally realized like what he meant to him, and Alfred finally opened up like, look, man, like this was my family too, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to to help you grieve or any of these things. Like that scene was very touching because
I agree.
they didn't know how important each of them were, or at least Bruce didn't understand how important Alfred was to him until he about lost him, like he lost his parents. And I appreciate that because there's so much else going on in this movie. I really did not need them to just spoon feed the rest of it to me. I do think
Yeah.
what I did like about Alfred, well, first off, I just love Andy Serkis in general, just a fantastic actor.
Agreed. And director.
Oh,
With his
that's who that
directorial
was.
debut,
Yeah.
Venom Let There Be Carnage,
And
which was a great film.
He shut. God damn it! But
You're just mad because I'm right and you know it.
so this
It
is
was
what I'm
driving me
talking about.
crazy through-
And then when I argue with him, he's like, and then he gets in my face when I like a thing. When he's like this
Oh my
super
God.
definitive
fuckface.
fuck face.
It's quite obvious that I'm joking around.
Jesus.
Just-
Continue.
Anyway, I think that was important to show that difference there because I think Alfred knows this is how Bruce is. Like he's a broody, shitty 20-something who's not gotten over his parents' death. And he just tries to help any way he can, and he knows focusing on the mission kind of helps focus him up, and that's where they connect. So that's my ramble there. I see what you're coming from for sure, but that was my takeaway from it. I was perfectly fine with Alfred.
Yeah.
I
will say-
sorry, go on, Wallace.
I was gonna say, yeah, that was like one of the smaller nitpicks. I have two like other things that just stand out to me about this movie. One of them I don't know how to address because I feel like it's a tonal thing that a lot of people won't agree with me on. The other could have done without. I would have cut it from the movie because it was unneeded and I didn't like it. And I rolled my eyes so hard as soon as I put together what was happening, and I was just like, God fucking damn it, we don't need this shit. Like, get this the fuck out of here. Do you guys know what scene I'm talking about?
My friend
Barry Coogan is the Joker, right?
It's the fucking Joker.
So,
guys,
let's
damn
not-
it. They
guys,
couldn't
let's not-
fucking help
So hey,
themselves.
so no, let's take this bit at a time here. That is the very end here. We'll
Yeah,
get
could
to
I
it
just
in good
quickly
time.
comment on the Alfred thing? At the
Yeah.
start of the film, when Bruce was like, "You're not my father, Alfred," I was like, "That's going to be an arc, isn't it? We're setting up an arc immediately here."
Of course,
And I
because
was
we've seen
fine with it,
Spider-Man. We've all
but
seen Spider-Man.
I didn't
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't like that
was
line.
great.
I thought that felt really forced.
For the most part, I thought the dialogue here was actually pretty good. But yeah, there are some moments that are quite on the nose. Nothing as bad as because last night I rewatched Batman Begins for the sake of another video. And like in the Nolan movies, some of that dialogue was very, very, very on the nose. Like thematically. Like
It's not what I. It's
not
not
who-
what deep down.
no,
It's
but
what
like
I do that defines me.
when Bruce goes to Rachel, just like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally helping out." It's like, "Look, Bruce, it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you." And like his dad, like, "Why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up."
Yeah, all
It's like-
all the shit made for trailers. Yeah.
Everyone has a fucking speech prepared in those Nolan films.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think the whole "you're not my father, Alfred" was kind of an echo of that, but at the same time, I do appreciate that the Batman wasn't quite as on the nose about it. And like my friend next to me, when Batman says at the start, like, "I am the shadows," he was like, "Oh, that's just cringe." I was like, dude, I think he's just very, very committed to this new
That's
persona of his.
part of the point too, though.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
lacking in
well-
self-awareness. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, that to me was whenever he was narrating, when I say that this was just a graphic novel brought to screen, that's exactly how I envisioned it. Those would just be text bubbles, and those are exactly what those text bubbles would say.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's again
exactly.
like when you announce that Edward Cullen is going to play Batman, this is exactly what you'd expect him to do in this. But I love, again, like I said at the front of this, I love that they're aware of that, and that's part of his growth as a character. Like he's just too
Yeah.
far up his own ass, and then he has to get out into the world and see how it actually works instead of just a speech from Batman Begins, which was a good
How-
speech. He goes out there and he sees the world through other people's eyes, and yeah.
How interesting is it that whenever I could be reaching on this, but I kind of felt like I had a thing like a connection here where it felt like this Batman is incredibly capable, and I liked seeing that. I feel like One thing I got tired of, and I know that this is a stupid thing to complain about because it's literally the point of those shows, grounding them and everything. When I see shit like live action Daredevil, which is a great show and everything, but I felt like for a while I was tired of seeing superheroes in realistic fight choreography where they're just getting their shit kicked in and they're like basically bloodied and shit by the end. I see Batman in this one, he's just tearing people apart. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like that I just kind of wanted to see that again. And
There
it,
was
He still
one
took some hits though.
oh, he
but,
still took some hits, but it never like I think you might know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's yeah. He's still out there kicking ass. He still felt like a comic book hero, but every time that he gets a little too big for his britches, he eats shit for it. He
Yeah.
stalls his fancy new car, or he goes flying like face first into a bridge. Like every time that he thinks that he's bigger than he is, he's punished for it. And I liked that. It was he's good at what he does, but when he's going too far, like the universe kind of tries to humble him again. And I feel like that was kind of indicative of his entire journey throughout this film.
I guess it's kind of when he starts thinking that he is this supernatural creature of the night that he starts getting humbled into being a man again, you know? And I think that is kind of what the Batman is all about, going from the monster, the myth, to back to being the man. And that is, I think a great direction to take it. I think one criticism I do have, though, and this is like in the opening subway fight. And the thing is, I complained about this in Birds of Prey, so it's only right that I complain about it here, even though it does seem like a bit of a nitpick that most people won't notice. It has that problem where there's a group fighting against the character, and they're just taking it in turns to get wailed on, rather than they're all going in there for an all-out battle.
It is silly, although I will to give a little credit where this is due. There was a confusion among that group when he first arrived.
Initially, yes, but when the fight picks up after he fucking bloodies up the first guy, I feel like, if you're trying to make it into this big group fight scene, it kind of undercuts Batman's strength when he's only taking on one person at a time, and the rest are kind of just standing there waiting to get punched.
Oh, well, that's what I mean, is like, even after he takes out the first guy, the first thing that people do is not go after him, they scramble. Some people are not sure how they want to approach it. Some people are thinking, "Oh shit, I got to run away," and then they stop and they turn and look at one of their buddies, like trying to attack Batman and get this shit kicked in, and then they go in for attack. It's like they don't know what to do. It's a kind of stop and go situation where they are just in a fucking frenzy because this guy has shown up on the battlefield and they do not know how to respond.
Yeah,
I'll keep an eye out for that in second rewatch.
I also I want to say this real quick though. Is it just me? But that first thug, did anybody else think he kind of looked like Doug Walker?
Everyone said that when the first trailer came out.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure, because all I was thinking was just like, hello, I'm nostalgia.
I remember it, so you don't have to.
I don't remember it anymore after he gets beaten up. Okay, so one thing I also really love about this Batman that one of my friends criticized was, I like that this is kind of the antithesis to the Nolan Ninja Batman, in that this Batman just walks out. Like, everyone's looking around, they see the bat signal, and they're expecting him to be hiding anywhere in the shadows. He just walks out in front of them. And then, like, I think the main criticism my friend had was like, why does Batman knock on the door of the Iceberg Lounge? It's so much more of a Batman thing for him to just appear behind Penguin. I was like, no, this Batman is confident. He's calm.
Yeah, and that's his that's almost his character flaw, and I fucking loved that. I was just like, that is
so fucking slow and methodical in his body language as well, which I loved.
Yeah, he is smug, and he is like, he's kind of pompous about himself. He wants to be a symbol, but it is by the name that everyone gives him throughout this entire movie. It is vengeance, and that is it.
Master Bruce, you're joining the band class, are you? Yes, Alfred. What instrument are you going to play? Symbol.
God damn it. But that was his thing, is again, that is the Batman's hubris throughout most of this movie, is he is way too confident in himself. and he wants to be seen and remembered. It's not enough that he does good. He has to be recognized for it in a way that makes him very similar to the Riddler. It's kind of like that mentality has helped create what the Riddler was. And
You finish your point. I had something else to jump on there.
I gotcha. And so I really liked that because he walks into places. He wants people to remember who he is. I love after the guy opens the door, which I thought was funny because the running gag of like the two guards that keep opening the door. All I could think of was like the two dudes at the end of the Scott Pilgrim movie at the Chaos Theater.
There's
multiple passwords.
There's a possible cameo there because Penguin refers to them as the twins. And like they do get knocked about quite a bit. There's the possibility that they might have been this film's kind of nod to Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I like that.
A little bit of a stretch, but it's always possible. I mean, they were idiots, so.
I mean, this movie found a way to make Penguin waddle. So
yeah, I was gonna say that was fucking hilarious.
To be fair, they're not the first. Like Gotham did it as well, and they did it well.
So,
True.
Just to rewind a couple things about the twins specifically, I like that kind of confirms that Batman's not beating them to the point that they're in hospitals. Like everybody he beats, they kind of come back around, mostly because he can't turn them into the cops.
Okay, but the thing is, like Doug Walker, when he's punching him in the face near the end there, and he's already down, you can hear squelching sound effects there.
Oh, yeah,
it sounds like Batman's dipping his hands in a bucket of berries. Like, what is this? What is the state of his face at the end of that? And can he still fucking function? I really need to know.
The state of his face is Florida.
Batman didn't appreciate his reviews. What can I say?
He's got to look like fucking bolognese by the end of that. Jeez.
Yeah, that was great. What was my other point there? Oh yeah, while reel it back to near the beginning again.
Okay, go ahead.
Just about the point of Batman just being kind of up his own ass. I love in the police scene, like the first time he's in the. What are you giggling about?
Go on. I just had a thought for Batman's greatest gadget in his utility belt. When he's beating up Doug Walker. What you don't see is when he's down, he just pops out a fish out of his utility belt, slaps it on his face, and then punches the fish to make the squelching sound to intimidate the others. Just the idea that he's got a fucking bass in his utility belt somewhere just makes me laugh. He's got it to feed Robin.
The way this man's mind works, man. Oh my god.
Time to clean up your act. You're smelling fishy.
Batman, I'm hungry. I've got you some fish, Robin. Here you go.
I don't carry shark repellent. I carry the other thing.
Okay, go on, Nick. What were you going to say? Come on.
Anyway, just the point of like Batman just wanting to take himself so seriously. I love in the first scene of him being on the murder scene. Okay, so when he's checking out the aftermath of it, how all the cops are just staring at him and he looks so fucking goofy, but he's still taking himself so goddamn seriously. I fucking love that.
Speaking of like, go on, Wallace.
I was just gonna say I love every cop interaction that Batman has in this movie.
Yeah.
I loved so where he sees the son of the mayor that's died, and it kind of echoes the origin. But my first thought in my head was Batman's like, Robin.
Yeah, he spent way too long staring at that kid.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I didn't even think of Robin. I was just thinking,
I'm a predator in the night, and I mean that in two ways.
God damn it! Oh God! Wait, no. Yeah, no. See, I didn't even think of Robin at that. I was just like, I felt like I could just feel like Bruce's heart shattering while watching that. I was just like, God damn it!
Which is the point of Robin?
My parents are dead.
Yeah, I mean that does make sense. I think I wasn't thinking about Robin because the context of this movie didn't let me think about Robin. I don't know. I don't.
It did for me though. Like, here's what I love about this movie. Like, if I could boil it into a sentence, it's that this is the most grounded I think I've ever seen Batman. Yet it's the one I see taking the most from the comic books compared to every other version.
Oh, can I just say Gotham City is beautiful?
Oh yeah,
Chicago
in
it's
this
Chicago.
movie. Well,
no,
yeah, but it's
that's
like
Glasgow.
So
It looks like Chicago to me, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
Glasgow in this one.
a lot of it to me, it felt like it had a visual identity, especially like the architecture of some rooms, like Falcone's like billiards room
Mhm.
and stuff like that. It was nice to see a version of Gotham that was like I love the Nolan trilogy, I really do, but like that's Chicago. This felt like Gotham City was like its own place. I remember thinking to myself, while he's having his little monologue and he's saying like this the city is feeding on each other or something like that, and how indicative it was that they matched that line up with a shot of this Times Square times 10, where it's just nothing but fucking screens talking about how shitty the city is.
Yeah.
Not only is it just surrounding them, it's caging them, but they feed on it. They have an economy of despair in Gotham City. It's basically their entire culture is just how bad their lives are. I found that fascinating, and I thought that was just something that was going through the visual identity of this whole movie. Dear God, they got a fucking filmmaker to make this. It was somebody who loves working with a camera, who sees it as more of just what is something I can do with a motion picture that I can't do in another medium to tell this story, and he went for it. That's also to give credit to the cinematographer, who I also believe worked on Dune.
Greg Fraser, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeously shot film.
Yeah, I thought this was the best looking DC film since Zack Snyder's Justice League, which admittedly was only last year, so maybe not that impressive. But like, it's nice to see that we're still getting these good looking DC films, because I must admit, like, a big part of the pull for me with like the Snyder films was how fucking beautiful they look. And I think, going from that to like Wonder Woman 1984, where all of a sudden fucking Wonder Woman looks like she's wearing a fucking candy apple. Like, yeah, no, it makes me fucking sick, dude. But like, going back into this, like, oh, that's better. Oh, I can breathe again. Oh man, this is not just a Snyder thing now. Films can look pretty. But yeah, no, can we also just say the music? I cannot get those two fucking notes out of my head.
Yeah,
No
I gotta
amount of
admit,
therapy
man.
will.
They
It's in there.
I know
But
it
yeah.
annoyed some people, but I
The
really
score
loved it.
needed some. My thing was, I felt like the score needed a little variation. It was funny because there was a point where they kept using that theme for Batman doing a thing, and at a point it made me feel like I was watching a compilation of a fucking TV series kind of mashed together in here, where there should have been more time between it continually trying to eat this slice of cake, and I got a little tired of it. I love it. I think it's amazing that they incorporated Ave Maria of all things into the score.
Did you notice that Batman has two themes in this as well?
I did.
The theme
Yeah.
of vengeance and the theme of hope. I prefer the theme of hope, but the theme of vengeance is great too.
It is, and it works for its scenes, but that's again, I think they dip their hand in the cookie jar too many times for me. It's like if I were to cut like one scene just of Batman kicking ass from this movie, I know a lot of people would disagree with me on this, and I kind of disagree with myself on it too. I'm jumping a little ahead here. I think the Batmobile chase was kind of unnecessary.
Let's pull it back before we go there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna
Also, I
say it's a lot to
disagree.
talk about
Well,
there.
let's
I also
pull it back.
vehemently disagree with you, Wayne, but yes.
Do you hate fun, or are you like a girl or something? But anyways,
No, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
because if you are a girl, then I think that actually works out for me.
For
Actually,
God's
It kind
sakes.
of
All
if
right.
you wanted a little food.
So we're gonna
But anyways, Batman.
I was talking like right before we got in this podcast, I really want to get Jacob either with us here or doing my own thing. But he's a huge Batman fan. One of my closest friends
Your cool new
on the
friend,
planet. One of my cool new I've known him for almost all of my adult life. Yes.
Yeah, your cool new friend. We're not necessary.
I've known him since middle school. Holy shit. Wow. Anyway.
Especially not Suris, who's not even here.
Anyway, I was talking with him about I love that I could talk about Batman this much in a Batman movie because he's in the costume a lot. And we're only getting it from his perspective, which I think is essential if you're going to be doing a detective story. You can't really be following all the different perspectives of all the other characters, because everybody's a suspect, and you can't really see too much else outside of his narrow field if you really want to get a true noir detective style, which yeah, man, like Batman Begins has a lot of Bruce Wayne. There is some Batman, and all the other movies are just the villains. It's mostly the villains. So I appreciate how much Batman is in a Batman movie.
No, like I remember when I was at college, it was the year 2012, it was my first year in college, and a lot of people were ranting and raving about The Dark Knight Rises. And one of the things that I kind of said was, I personally just feel like there wasn't enough Batman in it. And I got mocked to high heaven saying, oh, this killer, this guy says there's not enough Batman in Batman. It's like, okay, you can make my argument sound dumb, but like, I have a point in that there's only 20 minutes of Batman in the suit in a 2.5 hour long film.
Yeah.
Um,
And speaking as somebody who
this was a
really
treat.
likes that movie, I agree with you.
Yep.
This was a treat. It was nice to have Batman be Batman. You know, what I came to see on the poster was in the film a lot.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's just get some of these side characters out of the way. I can't believe I'm saying this, because Gary Oldman's a legend. This is my favorite Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of attachment to the Gordon from Gotham, because obviously we spent a lot of time with him. We've seen him come a long way. Guy's fucking crazy as fuck as well, which makes things funny. But I gotta say, like, yeah, as far as, you know, Batman movie Gordons go, yeah, I think Jeffrey Wright is probably the best one yet.
I really love his performance, and just Jeffrey Wright as a actor in general. I only know him probably the same as anybody else. Like I first was truly aware of him thanks to Westworld, and then when I heard he was cast, I was like, he's perfect. He's fucking perfect.
Also,
And
like his chemistry with Robert Pattinson, like, okay,
I tweeted about it. I joked about it.
Catwoman and Batman they had some sexual tension, I guess, but fucking Jim Gordon and Batman, like the scene where they're so close to each other's faces when they're talking, like, I'm sorry, that it felt more natural to have a kiss there than any of the kisses between Batman and Catwoman.
God damn it, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's the bro ship for you though, man. Like those two were tight, and it felt like they were indeed tight, and I appreciated that about the two.
One of them was tight. That thumb drive went somewhere.
For God's sakes.
Yeah, fuck anybody who thought this movie didn't have a sense of humor.
The thumb drive thing
Oh
is
my
legit
God.
one of the funnier things I've seen in a comic book movie. Like, I'm sorry, I find that dry humor of Batman just constantly insisting on the thumb drive to be funnier than 90% of the we're all so funny kind of
Yeah.
stuff you get in the MCU. Not to shit on the MCU, but like,
I could
It does get
perfectly. Yeah, I could. The thing with like the thumb drive was like in the way he reacted to it and like pulled it out to show Gordon. The fact that I could perfectly like imagine Kevin Conroy's Batman doing that was just like, yeah,
I just love
this
the
works.
vacant stare on his face as well. Like, it's like a yucky human severed thumb, and he's just vacantly just looking at Gordon, just gesturing to the thumb drive.
And I love that Gordon. I mean, he reacts so naturally to it too. Like he's a cop, he's seen some stuff, but still, like, yeah, he's like, oh, this guy's hilarious.
I like that. I also like to think that throughout the entire movie, he's got like a little earpiece in. Batman does, where he's just listening to My Chemical Romance.
Well, it's established that he's a fan of Nirvana.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is A-okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, no fucking shit. But God, I think I do really like this Batman. I was because I was thinking about it more and more, and I was like, there's not a lot of range that we get to see with him, but I felt like there was a lot done with his character. Like, I like the way he looks in the suit. I love the suit. I love how he responds to situations. I love how he interacts with other characters. You know, to a degree, I nitpicked a little bit earlier, and as I heard my whole thing about that. But it's like, man, this was a really well realized version of the character.
I think it's something I say in my video that I'm hoping will go up tomorrow. this Bruce Wayne is not really in this movie. Like, this is a Batman, like Batman through and through, and like I think we'll see him form that Bruce Wayne persona, but like even when he's not wearing the costume, he's not all Mr. Charming playboy. He's gonna go fuck some chicks in the pool now, you know. Like he is, he comes off as just this mute, fucking detached from. Like I can't imagine this guy ever getting laid in his entire life, and I'm glad that they made Batman that level of relatable for me. But like,
God damn.
just at that funeral scene, like he just spends the whole time just vacantly staring. The only thing I will say
Had a
is
kid.
if I were Penguin, I'd be like, dude, you're Batman, aren't you? Because you move slow, you've got a gravelly voice, you've got those uncanny beady eyes staring at me, and you just Batman is so fucking awkward in this movie, and I love that.
Which led to a really funny anti-revelation towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. God, Jesus. We'll get to that scene in good time. I
Oh,
did
yeah,
like that
yeah.
about this Bruce Wayne, that he's just like him and Batman are all in the same. I was initially, when I first saw the trailers, like, this Bruce Wayne looks terrible. I can't believe they're doing that with his hair. I'm like, oh right, they're trying to pretend he's a young man. They're trying to pretend this 35-year-old guy is a young man.
Well, yeah, can you imagine this Bruce Wayne sitting in a barbershop talking to his barber about how his day's been? He'd just sit there mute, gazing into the mirror, just thinking like, my hair's being cut off like the lives of my parents were. I have to become the haircut. I have to
McClunky.
be. I will be the broom that sweeps the stray hairs off of the floor of Gotham City.
Jesus Christ. I'm trying to... Hang on. My sister's trying to call, and I'm trying to tell her I'm in a podcast right now. I'm going to have to get rid of the screen for a second. Sorry, everybody. City loop. Left screen. Going back to our old stuff right now. Anyway. Yeah, God damn it. Yeah, I think you're right, Pup. I think socialite Bruce Wayne is in the future. And I like that Bruce had to learn to make those distinctions in this one. Because they flat out say, like, hey, we've not he's not done anything for the city as Bruce Wayne. And that's one of the biggest critiques of Batman for anybody who doesn't read the source material, because they've talked about those points ad nauseum in the comics, and they don't really come to any sort of firm conclusion for a long time. But I do like that this movie does not only celebrate Batman and the source material, but it does address those critiques about the character himself in this, and uses it as a character arc, and in the perfect spot for it. Year 2 is the perfect place to tell a story like this one.
Hell yeah. I also like obviously we go into a little bit of the history of Bruce Wayne and his parents and stuff. And on one hand, I think it is about fucking time that they address that these people were not saints. Like I was watching Batman Begins yesterday, and like Thomas Wayne is talking about how he built this railroad and how he wants to do good for the city. I was like, come on, billionaires don't act like that. Come on, like get serious. And so it was nice to kind of have, oh, he's got ties to Falcone, but like I wish they'd gone a little deeper with it. Like I wish that, because they kind of do the whole he's involved with Falcone, and you know, he tried to get this reporter silenced and stuff. Oh, but he didn't actually mean for anything to go wrong, though. He was devastated. He's actually a really good guy and stuff.
Yeah.
I wish they'd done what the Telltale games did, where Thomas Wayne was actually a piece of shit, and Bruce just has to accept that and move forward with being Batman with this revelation in mind.
I think there's a little middle ground there, and I agree with you. I think that was kind of a wishy-washy way of dealing with it. I don't know if the overall point was to say good people can do bad things, which I think should have been kind of the point, because like I keep saying, you don't get that much money by being a good person. I don't care who you are. You don't.
I thought you were about to say, I keep saying good people do bad things. It's how I justify my friendship with Pup.
Lovely.
Oh,
It's yeah, it was very, yeah, it was such a wishy-washy answer, but I hope they delve into it a little bit more with the sequel, because I do think they are, we'll talk about it when we're done talking about the movie itself. I do think they are setting up a lot of stuff for a potential sequel. Some's a little more groanery than others, especially there Like they literally write on the screen, "Hush." Thank you, movie. I
Yeah,
get it. Thank you.
I was thinking that. Also, just in the spirit of doing bad things, one of the people that I have gaslit recently is in the chat right now. Hi,
Oh
Bibby.
my god.
Yeah, she's one I made her think she was schizophrenic at one point. So
What
yeah,
Fuck!
I think we're talking to an actual Batman villain right now.
but it's cool. We're cool, aren't we? Go on, tell them.
All
Bibby.
right. People
But
gotta stop letting him get away with this.
your life depends on it.
So before we get into too
yeah.
much of the end bit or the spoilers or anything, what did you guys think of Catwoman?
Yes and no.
Also
I'd
my
say
favorite
yes.
Catwoman. Sorry.
No, I'd definitely say best Catwoman in live action at the very least. But yeah, I definitely really I enjoyed how she tied into the narrative with Falcone. And I enjoyed the twist that, she's Falcone's daughter. And I think Zoe Kravitz played the role really well. They did a really, really nice job at avoiding that typical Catwoman cringe dialogue where there's a couple of occasions where he's like, Selena, don't throw your life away. It's like, don't worry, honey, I got 9 of them. And I was like,
love
oh,
that
come on.
though. I love that.
This
That's
is-
Catwoman. It's Rouge
is
the
very-
Bat. You know,
It's very Catwoman, but it's like in the midst of she's trying to kill someone that she thinks killed her best friend, but then she just takes a quick moment to make a cat joke. Like,
time and place for it all. I think the way they embraced it, I think it was probably all the fault of Batman Returns. Let's be honest.
hey Bruce, you can call me the pussy. Feed this pussy the milk. That's Catwoman dialogue. I'm glad that they kept that to a minimum in this film.
Jesus Christ, Pup! Come on, man.
I liked her. I liked her her little story, her little arc, I guess.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
And
she tried this whole thing of vengeance, like
yeah, I thought that she because she fit that role of like people that were influenced by Batman, but she took some of the positive influence, not all the way. We do kind of see them literally go their separate ways towards the end of the movie. But it was there's two things about this Catwoman that kept me from really really loving her. The first was any and all attempts at trying to build a romance between her and Batman.
yeah, they were quite funny.
I didn't like any of it. I was just like, God, this feels stupid. Why are they kissing up here? Of course she gets like attacked by this Riddler goon. And then the other thing was when they're talking in her apartment and she goes into her fridge to grab a glass of milk and she pours her milk. And then she leaves the fridge door open. Young lady, you go back there and you close that fucking door. You're letting all the cold air out.
I thought that as well when I saw.
Yeah, that was
That's the thing
driving
in
me
movies, though.
insane.
That is a thing in a lot of movies, though. Is like they never close the door. I remember when I was watching The Room at the Prince Charles Theatre. There's this whole thing of the crowd would just scream, "Shut the door!" at the movie because it's so clear that they're not shutting the door in any scene. Oh man, what a great theater crowd as well. If you think Spider-Man No Way Home's a fun crowd, you need to go see a screening of The Room. But yeah, that's that tangent.
I just didn't like so is the one girl that she was the girl, the dead one.
Yeah.
Was that her girlfriend? Was that just a friend of hers? She refers to her as a kid at one point, which I was like, oh, maybe they're not dating. Which might also be, I refer to like 23-year-olds as kids because they basically might as well be. So maybe it's that.
Well, if you're literally prepubescent.
I gotta be honest. I would almost prefer just like, man, just give Catwoman a girlfriend. Like, like
Catwoman seems bi to me.
She does. I just don't like it. Something about for a fucking 3-hour movie to make that relationship feel rushed was weird.
Yeah, I mean, the blonde girl was just there to be a motivating factor and then get shot in the face.
They literally fridged her, which is probably why they couldn't fit the fridge door back closed.
For fuck's sake, Wallace, you're not funny. I mean, you are funny, but like, god damn it, I wish you weren't funny.
So
Yeah.
The Riddler.
real good, real good.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I loved Paul Dano's take on the Riddler.
You know what? You know what I was thinking? This is gonna sound weird. Like when they reveal what he looks like for the first time. Because again, I wasn't following anything about this movie, so I didn't know who was going to be playing
Yeah,
him.
me neither.
Which was all the better because it was just like, oh, like I have
Jesus,
no idea
Wayne.
what to expect from this
What the
guy.
hell happened there?
Holy shit,
Huh?
dude!
What
Dude,
happened?
what the hell happened there?
What happened
You
where?
blew up. Your mic blew up on us.
Temporarily,
Oh,
just like a
is it?
split
Is it
thing.
is it good now?
It's fine
Yeah,
now.
you're good now.
Oh,
You had a
weird.
moment of sounding like an electric guitar, but like now you
Oh
good.
god. But yeah, so I didn't know anything going in. And then when we see him for the first time, and I don't think I'm very familiar with this particular actor. I don't know that I've seen him in anything else.
was- Prisoners.
He's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in a whole bunch of
Okay.
stuff.
A lot of good stuff.
This is gonna sound strange. I was thinking, if the word yogurt had a face, I think it would be this.
What the fuck? That is not what I was expecting to hear.
Like when he's
I
doing
get
that
it,
little
though.
like curly smile, I was thinking, yeah.
No. But yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
At what cost?
it's
Jesus, I can't unsee that
no,
now.
the dude is such a phenomenal actor. He really sold the shit out of it. I gotta say, like the Riddler as a serial killer is a novel idea, and I think it's a good way to reinterpret the character for a movie like this. In terms of other serial killer villains, I don't really think he stands up, but in terms of the Riddler, I think it surprisingly stays true to who he is as a character. And if I'm not mistaken, like I think he floods Gotham at some point in the comics too.
I think he might, but I'm not 100% sure there. But what I got from that was like No Man's Land vibes. Because there was like a story called like No Man's Land, where basically an earthquake shook Gotham's entire power balance effectively.
Yeah, but I think that was more Dark Knight Rises was taken more from
I-
that. From
I think Dark Knight Rises maybe did a better job of making you feel like you were in that setting, whereas like flooded Gotham felt like 15 minutes.
I mean, it's a thing that's been done quite a bit. They also did it in Gotham as well, where like the Joker cut off the bridges to the mainland and everything. But like, yeah, I will say this: if we are racing ahead to that, was not expecting the movie to end with Gotham fucking under fucking water.
Really cool though. There's only one other movie that I've seen recently. Oh well, shit. I should not say that. That's a spoiler. Never mind. I'm gonna come off of that one. I wasn't expecting them. It reminded me of another movie that I saw like a year or two ago, and just thinking to myself, "Wow, I'm surprised they went that far." My friends and I were talking about some of the implications where they were just like, because obviously, there's this. It's a noir murder mystery. It's kind of going down this list of corrupt people that have a huge like influence in the city and everything like that, and a lot of that is.
Oh,
Hmm?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like they hinted at like Falcone has the entire police department in his pocket.
You notice that? What you just did
Yeah.
just there?
What?
This they do this with two different characters: Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, Falcone.
Oh yeah, he's called Falcone in this one, but was
Yeah.
called Falcone in Batman Begins.
Yep.
Really? I heard Falcone all night.
Nah, he was called Falcone in this one, Wayne. I don't know what fucking movie you watched, prick. But
Was it?
You got Burstein,
oh.
bitch.
Wait,
yeah,
I'm
like
gonna-
when
I'm gonna look over the. I've got to
One
watch this
thing-
over again. I kept hearing Falcone.
something I do
but
love
yeah.
is that fucking Riddler unleashed perfect chaos before Dr. Eggman.
God
Yeah.
Damn it. God damn it.
But,
Sonic podcast.
I remember I had some friends that were talking about it. It's just like it would have been really interesting if they had gone down this road where they're like, oh well, we got to dismantle everything. And then I'm just like, I mean, I get you, but at the same time, what are they going to base an entire like other society for this grounded universe to be based on that we don't have to base it on? You know what I mean? It's like you at that point you might be asking a little too much of a comic book movie, which I don't like to try to use as an excuse, but it is a comic book movie, and there's only so far it can go. And yeah, I did still enjoy though that this version of Riddler was maintaining his ego from the comics. This kind of I know more than everybody else sort of mentality. I loved this demented delusion that he had that he and Batman were working together, and that he saw Batman as his one true peer, other than the other people that were following him on 4chan. And um
Just
just
speaking of that though, I remember when
yeah.
Batman was like, "This guy's got like 500 followers," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was just like, well, I've accomplished that. And I was like,
Like, yeah, we could fucking fight the Riddler easily, you know?
We could
yeah.
bomb Gotham, guys.
So I was like,
Oh my god, let's do that actually. Let's commit some terrorist incidents.
no, no.
Carry on from that joke. Let's keep right on.
So I liked that he again, it was kind of a twist on the standard version of Riddler that we've seen. I still think like my favorite depiction of the Riddler outside of comics is probably the Arkham games. But this is up there because I thought it was such an interesting spin, and I like that he's so confident that he is the hero of this story.
Yes. That's
Because
a good way of doing it.
on a base level, he is accomplishing something that is good, up until the end. But he is kind of crossing over that line of, we're going to brutally murder like a bunch of people.
He's
we're
right,
gonna...
but his methods are just wrong. Like that's
yes,
and I like that so much better than what I was like when I first heard the few reviews where people were like, "Oh yeah, you really empathize with the Riddler. You can understand him." I was like, "Oh boy, here we go, another villain, but he's sad. He's been through stuff, so he's got every right to be a bad guy." No. They just made a villain that has a good point, but is executing it horribly.
yeah. It's like the point of no return is definitely his final structural plan, which holy fucking shit, that last clue. This was a cool mystery to a degree.
Yeah,
I
to a degree,
liked
I'd
the
say.
to a degree. I really enjoyed the way it started. I love the way that they incorporated Batman into solving this mystery. I like that Alfred was involved. I like seeing these like glyphs and patterns and everything being decoded into this, that, or the other. There were definitely gradual points where it started to feel a little dry, where I'm just like, okay, now this is starting to feel a little dumb. The mistranslated Spanish in particular comes to
That
mind.
was yeah.
It's another reason why I would have just done away with the way the Batmobile scene was done. But it was it brought it back for me when the first item that they show you the Riddler using in this movie was that Tucker. And I didn't really think much of it at the beginning of the movie. But how fucking like brilliant is it that he is using something that is a tool to conceal, to tuck away, to lie about what lies underneath, as this murder weapon against these liars who are tucking away and putting a tapestry or a carpet just over this this past that they don't want known, and lying under the carpet of his building with this tool that he gives to the Batman, who has been helping him rip that carpet apart, that's been covering. No, that's what I
Rip
mean.
that carpet apart. You don't realize what you just said, do you?
Oh, god damn it! Not everything has to be a sex joke.
Not everything's a sex joke, bro. God damn it.
But you know what I mean though, is like I thought that was super super interesting. How cool is that? Like it's these little things in there, that visual imagery where it's using the thing that he sees as the problem as a weapon against it, and then again trusting Batman throughout the entire movie to kind of understand what it is that he's doing. I think, and on some level, Edward did not think that Batman would just be on board with joining his cause. And so it was almost like leading him to this conclusion in such a way that Batman would end up agreeing with him. Where it's not even just that he's seeing what the Riddler is revealing, he's seeing that it is something that has to be uprooted, as something that has to be brought to the light. The more I talk about this movie, the more I like it.
I love the fact also that he is effectively getting Batman to kind of do his dirty work for him through manipulation. That's a very Riddler thing.
I love that. Well, I mean, he doesn't completely realize he does it. I love that that they both overestimate each other, and they both kind of realize that while they're talking to each other. Like the mask is often, he is this doughy faced nerd who strangely does fit for Edward Nygma, and just goes to the overall point. Yogurt face boy, yeah.
There we go.
I thought that like Paul Dano's performance under the mask was really good, but the second that mask was off, he stepped it up several notches.
He was way better without that mask.
Even down to how explosive he could be, and when he would just go into these fits of like crying and such, and he managed to make crying into something scary. Good job, man. I usually laugh when people cry, but like this
fucking
was kind of
unsettling.
Yeah, that was unsettling.
I do have to admit though, I think it was funny that they both overestimate each other so much, where Riddler thought Batman was doing this shit intentionally, and he clearly wasn't, and Batman thought he had figured out who Bruce Wayne was, and I don't know how he didn't. All that said though, that did lead from one of a couple groaners I had, because my buddy, like Jacob, he would say like, I listed 3 spots. He listed 3 spots where he's like, I groaned 3 times in the movie. Can you guess what they are? I nailed them. One of them leading into that, I think this was mine, was, we're doing the villain intentionally gets caught shit again, because we haven't seen that enough already in recent movies. But before that, the bomb. Am I alone there?
Wait, which bomb?
No, the bomb scene I thought was great.
The neck bomb where he just gets a full face of explosion, then wakes up in the police department where nobody's taking off his mask.
That scene was so intense, like with Batman like trying to help him work through the riddles and stuff.
Up to that point, yes, up to that was great, but the bomb going off stuff was kind of stupid.
I was a little distracted by the face that Batman still had a face after that happened.
Yeah.
He put his arms over his face though, and the Batsuit is bulletproof.
But is it going to save his ears?
No, he didn't have his arms over his face initially, did he? He had his hands on, because I was watching for that. I was specifically looking for that.
He quickly puts his hands over his face.
Are his reflexes faster than fire?
Oh, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a movie, all right? Shut up.
Oh no, you can't. No, you can't devolve into that part if we have an issue.
No,
here.
I know. I'm joking around. Calm down.
Yeah, no, it's
like,
yeah.
Why
didn't anybody unmask him when they took him to the police department?
Know. Like the best,
there and he wouldn't have allowed it.
Because they did establish that he has the like taser mask.
If someone's injured, you're not supposed to remove their headgear, are you?
Yeah, no, they did try to take it off once they got him to the police station.
Well, that was because, to be fair, they were checking to see how he was maintained. But yeah, you are supposed to be super careful, especially around the neck area after somebody's experienced something like that.
Also, I put it this way: if they were to try and unmask Batman in the police car, he'd just fuck off and leave. Whereas, like, if he does it in like the GCPD. Like, there's ways they can corner him. I mean, they can't, but they think they can, you know?
Well, up until the GCPD, he was unconscious.
Yeah, it was very contrived, as far as I was concerned.
He might have woken up when they did it, though. I don't know. Like, he's Batman.
They don't know that. They clearly
I don't know.
that.
They don't. Like, it's a It is.
It's a weak spot.
It's a small one. I would say I noticed it, Nick, as much as you did, but I might be willing to say it's a nitpick.
It's not enough to piss me off. Like, put it that way.
Yeah.
I think it's a weak point. It's not enough for me to hate the movie. I really love this movie, but I thought it was a definite distracting weak point for me. Especially since leading up to that scene was like really intense and powerful, and it ended stupidly. The police station was fucking stupid. I wasn't a fan of it.
Also, yeah, in the police station, when all of the officers are shooting up the spiral staircase, they've got more of a chance of hitting each other than they do Batman.
And they come
Those are some dumb
swarming like
fucking cops.
goddamn zombies out of every corner after. It's ridiculous. No.
But I did like the whole gliding thing and how they had like the ear POV camera.
I thought that looked a little goofy, to be honest. It was a little dumb.
It felt year 2 to me. I was okay with it. I thought the wingsuit looked stupid, but I was also like, yeah,
it's one of those things where I think it's going to evolve into he's got the cape and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
The one thing I want, although, sorry, this is a little bit of a side tangent, and it's not a criticism because I think it would be really impractical in a movie, but I still kind of want it. You know the versions of Batman where his cape just like fucking is so long that it drags behind him on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that visual so much, but it doesn't make any logical sense. Like, that is nothing but a liability.
Sadly,
but I want to see it.
And it is a liability in the movie, too.
Yeah. Yeah, even the shorter cape, like, sometimes gets him into trouble.
Okay, shall we quickly talk about the Batmobile chase, then?
Let's get to that, because, my God, dude. My God, what an introduction.
The way they build up the Batmobile. Like, what I love about this movie is we've seen a million fucking Batman movies and a million fucking Batmobiles. And here this movie is getting me giddy as a schoolgirl to see the Batmobile.
End of sentence? Is that it?
Well, that's the first part. You can bounce off of that, can't you? Come on.
Oh, yep.
Keep the train moving.
I was not expecting to give a shit about the Batmobile whatsoever, but that introduction of where it just screams like a demon out of hell and stops a fucking gunfight. Like, I loved the introduction for it. I gotta say, Wayne, I know you're gonna give your critiques on it. I did feel a little drained on the car chase for a bit, but they brought it back around for me at the end there. I had a good time with that whole scene.
I'm also very grateful that the Batmobile is a car again, as opposed to being a fucking tank.
Yeah.
It's about time. It seems like after the Tumbler, like every other Batmobile was like, oh, let's make this thing bigger and more mechanical. Like, it's nice to have one that's just a sexy little muscle car. I thought the chase was a lot of fun and very thrilling. Also, the little dip into non-linear storytelling with the Alfred threat as well was very clever, I thought.
What do you mean?
Well, like how they made it seem like, oh yeah, Batman's on his way to rescue Alfred, but Alfred already got blown up. Like, the phone is ringing, and you think he's gonna ring Alfred, and they're showing the shots of Alfred opening the letter. And I was just thinking, Alfred, pick up the fucking phone. It was like, oh, it's not Alfred's phone.
It would have been more powerful if Alfred actually died. I'm glad he didn't, but
I was thinking the same thing. As soon as like they showed him in the hospital bed, I was like, oh, you pussies.
I mean, I had an element of that, but I was like, oh, he's okay. Good.
Yeah.
Alfred's important to me.
I was happy he was still alive, but I was also a little bit like, come on.
I agree. I think they did kind of kneecap like a really powerful way to tell that particular scene, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to pretend I'm upset about it. I like this Alfred quite a bit.
Fun fact, in the Ben Affleck Batman movie, Alfred would have died.
Well, there you go.
As well as Commissioner Gordon, the whole thing was going to be Deathstroke. Because obviously at the end of the Snyder Cut, he finds out Batman's identity. He'd basically go and hunt down all of Batman's loved ones and fucking slaughter them.
I would have loved to still. I would still love to see a Batman versus Deathstroke movie.
I would have liked it too, but I won't lie. I like the Riddler more than like Deathstroke. Like, I don't know. Like, I do wish we could see more of Batfleck, but I get it. He's done. So like, this is the best way to go moving forward, I think.
It's a change of pace that I've needed for Batman. I needed a slower, methodical Batman. I think I needed one
Oh,
that
agreed.
stayed far and away from the superhero antics. Again, me and Jacob talk a lot about Justice League Batman versus the Batman in terms of comic books, and now the movies are doing it because they're not the same character as far as I'm concerned. So I'm very much I like Batman comics when they are on their own. It is
I
jarring when
mean,
Superman
I
shows up.
still I like them when they're on their own as well, but I still really kind of dreamt of having that Justice League together as well.
I
And
don't blame you in the slightest.
it's
It's
so
still fun.
disappointing that DC are now just like, hey, Batgirl's in the Justice League now instead. It's like, you guys realize that's not the same character, right?
Well,
But
DC's gonna do DC for now. We'll
DC's
see how
gonna
it
do
goes.
what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Fucking, but like, yeah, that's why I kind of care a lot about the Snyder stuff. But like,
Sure.
and moving back to the Batman, though, of course, like, again, if you're going to go down the route of a standalone movie, this is absolutely the way to do it. And like, this devoted Batman universe really does feel like that sort of quintessential Batman universe in many ways. And like, yeah, no, I think it's a very well done, you know. Is I kind of noticed towards the end of the second act, the Riddler effectively dips out of the movie and Falcone kind of becomes the main villain.
Yeah.
And I liked Falcone in this. Like in the Nolan trilogy, I found the guy to just be a fucking boring old mob boss.
So who'd they get to play him? Like they got a big ass actor.
Yeah, it's quite a big deal. I can never remember his
I
name
can't
though.
either.
Falcone actor, the Batman. Oh yeah, John Turturro.
Yeah,
And
Turturro's fantastic. I mean, he's been in
he
Transformers movies,
looks
but
much more like how Falcone looks in like The Long Halloween as well.
yes,
But like
yeah,
I gotta say, like the one he was contending with was the one from Gotham, because I kind of remembered Gotham being like the show that made me care about the mob boss characters like Falcone and Maroni. And the actor they got to play Falcone in Gotham was an absolute powerhouse. Like some of the acting performances in that show were an absolute masterclass. So again, a lot of what the Batman was contending with was the Gotham versions. When it came to the Riddler, it had to contend with Gotham. When it came to Penguin, Gotham. And Falcone, especially, Gotham. But I think they did a really nice job. And in many ways, this did feel like it could have been like a continuation of Gotham in some ways. But like, yeah, I really enjoyed this take on Falcone. I liked his dynamic with Selena Kyle. And John Turturro played him really well.
Wayne, have you you've been sitting there quiet for a bit? Did you want to? We kind of jumped away from the Batmobile. Do you want to kind of give some critique on any of that, or?
Well, I don't want to shit on it because, like I said earlier, even I kind of disagree with myself about wanting to remove that. That said, it is the one action scene that I probably could live without. The thing for me was I love the Batmobile. I love the sounds it makes. The theater that we were in had this like, dude, the theater shook when
Yeah.
that thing was running. It was amazing. But I did think the chase went on for too long, and it felt like the shots were getting repetitive. It felt like it was. I almost felt like I was watching a record skipping at one point for as long as that scene was going on. I felt like I was in the fucking Twilight Zone like halfway through that scene, and I know this brought it back for you, Nick, but it completely took me out of it when shit just had to when they had to put their money somewhere and they're just like, okay, let's murder everybody on this bridge. Let's just go a little fucking overboard and just get stupid. And we're just going to have all these giant ass explosions for the sake of having a cool shot of it of the Batmobile coming through the fire, which yes, I did come a little bit when I saw that, but was it worth it? And why does nobody talk about how many people just died? No one seems shook up about it. If anybody should, it should probably be Batman. Although if the rest of this movie is any indication and people in this universe are just immune to fucking explosions from point blank range, I guess they're all okay. And
Maybe
then we just get to the end of it, and after they get Penguin and they're talking to him under a bridge, apparently that whole fucking wild Penguin chase went nowhere.
Well, I mean, like, also when the car flipped over repeatedly, the Penguin was so dead in that scene, if not at least injured. And this is one of many shots where Batman's foot comes really near to someone's face. Like when he's walking up to Penguin in his upside down car, my first thought was, kick him in the face. Go on, like, come on, do it. Kick him. And it happens with Falcone later on, where he's like laying down. I'm like, come on, your foot's right there. Just kick him. Come on. I guess that separates, if I were Batman from what if Bruce Wayne were Batman. But it's like he had so many ripe opportunities just to break someone's nose with steel toe caps.
Those are fair criticisms. I didn't think about it in that perspective.
I mean, yeah, I disagree with when you kind of say it gets repetitive and long, but I see where you're coming from because there is quite a bit of Penguin be like, get out of the way, get out of the way.
It just and that's that actually kind of goes into something that I feel a lot with this movie, because I remember, Pup, you said it did not feel like a 3-hour movie to you. I felt the length because
You felt the length, did you?
I did. I felt Batman's length.
You felt the length.
And it
Where'd
was
you feel
hot and sweaty. It was like in skin tight leather all day, so it was really like musky. No. It felt like a long ass movie. Now again, this might not be the movie's fault because we went to see a 10:30 showing for this movie when I just got off a 10-hour shift and I had to work the next morning. So maybe the circumstances in which I viewed the film had an effect, because I tend to obsess over any and all deadlines that affect me in the smallest ways, no matter what I'm doing. It makes it impossible to enjoy things. But the movie felt long to me, and there were a lot of scenes where I'm like, I could use less of characters talking and just let the scene play out. As much as I love Gordon, and as much as I love Batman, and as much as I love the two of them interacting with each other, there were a lot of scenes where I just kind of wish they shut the hell up. There were a lot of scenes where I was thinking, dude, you can walk at a brisker pace than this. I also got a little.
I liked how slow he moved.
I started to mind it when it started to felt like we kept doing it. And that was my thing, was if I have one major criticism with this film, I think it would be pacing. I think it's not only just the entire movie. You can't remove any scenes from this film, but you could kind of like maybe execute them a little more naturally. And it felt like the movie was constantly trying to build up to a tension that didn't really have a payoff within the scene itself. Just from how slowly people were moving, or how they interacted with each other, or how they spoke. There was again, I felt like I was going insane when Batman or when Bruce and Alfred are talking in the hospital room, and I felt like they were talking in circles. And I swore if I heard like one more if I heard one more proper pronoun in that fucking conversation, I was going to shoot myself. I was, the dialogue is not the strongest to me in this film. And there were definitely a lot of scenes where I would have cleaned it up a little bit and made Batman a little less of a solid snake, where half of his dialogue is just repeating what the last person just said in the form of a question. Do you know what I mean?
I kind of do, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like listening to a cutscene from Danganronpa. It's the one thing that keeps me from loving those games. I don't know.
You just give me flashbacks. I just got done. I played a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West when my buddy came up with his PS5, and I forgotten how much I don't like Aloy as a character, because a lot of that game is just, hey, point at a thing. Game tells you to pick up the thing, and then Aloy says I should pick up that thing. So yeah, yeah, that shit does get old really quick. And I know what points you're talking about, but yeah, I didn't have too much problem with it.
One thing, just quickly dipping back into the Batmobile, really quickly. Is I noticed in the trailers the way they cut it, it made it look like Batman was chasing Penguin. He was just screaming at the Batmobile the whole time, and it made me think. One thing I'm a little fed up of on live action Batman is Batman just constantly roaring at things, like fighting with his teeth gritted, looking furious and stuff. Like, to me, Batman is a lot more intimidating if he's just calm and methodically breaking people's bones and shit. Fortunately, in the film, he was relatively chilled out while he was chasing Penguin. It was he was screaming when he was going after Alfred, which was like, oh, fair enough, fair
Yeah.
enough. So I was pleased that we finally got that pretty calm and collected while in battle Batman for this film, because it's just so much more credible when he's just completely chilled the fuck out, and this is just like therapy to him.
I didn't have any problems with the chase while it was happening. I can understand your eye rolling issues
I
with
think
it.
the three of us, if we all give it a rewatch, we'll all understand each other's perspectives. a
Sure.
little
Yeah.
more.
Sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, let me just say, I wanted to say this because I did appreciate this about the Penguin. I really think this is like the only way Batman could properly interact with him without just straight up walking up to him and just beating the living fuck out of him. So I like that this was some way for Penguin to have some kind of battle with Batman. Did we touch on the Penguin at the start of this? I don't remember.
We haven't talked about the Penguin much, no.
There wasn't a ton to say about him, the way that he is towards the beginning of the movie. Though I will say I was pleased because I thought they were just doing a Penguin and then that was it for the Penguin. But they kept bringing him back and he was stronger in every scene he appeared in.
That's Colin Farrell, man.
Particularly when Falcone gets caught and taken into the light.
Yeah.
And Penguin's like, yeah, you better get in the light, and tries to shoot him. I was like, yep, that's the Penguin for you.
They could have arrested him for that. That was attempted murder.
Yeah, it was. I also just like I love the scene where they arrest Falcone, and Falcone's like, hey, I just got the whole GCPD in my pocket, and Batman's just like, well, not all of them. And then there's just that shot of their three heads looking over the GCPD who are all ready to take him in. I mean, on one hand, it's kind of a bit dumb of Batman and Gordon to do that so publicly because now every crime boss in Gotham's going to try and kill him. But, you know, still, it was a very cool and cinematic moment.
I thought that was a moment of the movie trying to have its cake and eat it too, where it's trying to have a conversation about class disparity, but by the end of it, we also have to say, but cops are good guys, and also the billionaire is a good guy.
It's hard to get around that when you've got a story involving Batman and
it is.
Gordon.
Which was my counterpoint when I was saying it's a comic book. You can't avoid that.
You know,
but
awesome.
if you're gonna have that conversation, though, if you're willing to bring it up to that, then you need to have some stronger answers. I feel in your narrative.
To kind of build on that, Nick, if you're gonna start that conversation, finish it.
Yeah.
How about they could do a Batman film where, and it has to be an origin story, I'm afraid, but like they could do a Batman film where Bruce's parents are killed in an act of police brutality.
Oh shit! No one's ever going to throw money to publish that. Oh my god. Yeah, no, that would never get greenlit.
It could ultimately be like Falcone hired a cop to shoot them. I think Bruce would notice. Bruce would probably notice a cop though. So
yeah, but that's the thing. Bruce knows it's a cop, and Bruce would be like, "Oh, clearly, like the GCPD isn't enough for this city and stuff. Clearly, the system isn't enough for this city."
So I'm going to work very closely with one of their lieutenants.
No, he doesn't, or maybe he works with just Jim Gordon.
Oh, you're talking about your new continuity. I apologize.
In a different continuity.
Yeah, because you could build off of that, and I feel like it would be kind of interesting seeing a different way that Batman and Gordon build their relationship when Bruce already has that distrust right out the gate.
Yeah.
I will say I did like it does kind of add a layer to it a little bit when you keep seeing Batman showing up in crime scenes, and the people that are so against him being at crime scenes there and everything are the ones that are involved with this underlying mystery, and that keeps getting revealed. And I thought that was interesting because I was just like, yeah, no wonder they don't want him involved. He's got to get them caught.
I did appreciate a lot of returning faces for secondary characters, both the thugs and the cops. Like that little cop dude who was just like, "What's he doing here?" And then he's like helping him solve the final riddle at the end there.
Dude, I loved just that it was just this one unsuspecting guy that was just like he was kind of like the one that helped because Batman's strength was never just on his own. It was always through through others that he instilled hope in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was a subtle way to do that.
Ultimately, I'm not too upset about the messaging of it because it is still Batman, and that's a challenging place to take it. But just have some balls, or maybe we'll see more of that through some of these other stories, like with Catwoman or a sequel or something, as we know more of them are going to be coming.
Are they doing a Catwoman movie?
They're
They're doing
HBO Max show.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
well, they haven't
Maybe.
greenlit
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one yet. But
Right.
they are definitely doing Penguin and GCPD series.
I would like to see that because I do like this depiction of Catwoman. I hope that if they do a series about her, Batman's not in it because I like her more when Batman's not there.
Let's see. Yeah, I'd like to see where they take both of those characters. But
Can we also
go for it?
Sorry. Oh, I was going to say, can we acknowledge that bit where Batman's on a rooftop with binoculars watching Catwoman, and she's getting changed at one point? I was like, dude, Bruce, avert your gaze, man.
I mean, were they intentionally like trying to parallel Riddler looking into the governors or whatever, that political figure?
I'm not entirely sure, but I was just
Mayor.
like, dude, she's undressing. Avert your gaze, man. Stop it.
I was trying to figure out through those first couple of scenes if they already knew each other prior to that. Did anyone else get that sense?
No, I figured that was their first meeting.
I see the ogling was what instilled that thought in me. I was just like, oh, well, the Batman's not a fucking perv, so maybe they already have like a pre-established history,
Oops.
and like that would at least make this make a little more sense, as to why he's being like this. And they kind of like bounce off of each other as if like neither one of them is a big deal. And then it was like at the safe cracking scene, I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, no, they've met. Because the way that they were eyeballing each other in Penguin's office, like the first time they met, I was just, and then he's like following her to her apartment and everything. I was like, oh, they've tangled before, and then apparently no, they hadn't.
Robert Pattinson's
They
just allowed to
tangled, but
play
they
stalkers,
didn't.
and nobody cares about it, I guess.
Oh shit, he does do that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to think of other untouched ground.
It might be
Not-
time to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man scene.
Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah.
The
The gentleman and the lizard.
Yeah.
Mm.
God, that felt like studio meddling to me.
You know what that felt like to me when I was watching Joker. I was enjoying. I do like that movie. It's not a fucking masterpiece like a bunch of like redditors like to say it is. But I liked the movie. I've only seen it once though. But I remember the conclusion of that film losing me so hard when we see a guy in a clown mask follow the Wayne family behind an alley, and we see that somehow get shoehorned into a movie again. And I remember just like lifting up my hand with my middle finger facing the screen, and it stayed there until the credits rolled. And I felt almost that detached as soon as I heard another person speaking from a cell to the Riddler in this
Meanwhile,
movie.
the guy sat behind Wayne literally becomes the Joker because he has to see Wayne's middle finger in front of the screen in front of his face.
Well, we were in the back of the theater. It was a very empty empty room.
So yeah, go on. Sorry.
God damn it, we didn't need that shit.
It could have been anybody else. I would have been happy if it was anybody else.
I
But
hate that I'm tired of the Joker.
I don't like it. I love the Joker, man.
Yeah, but I'm sick of him, and I don't want to be.
It's just he needs to have a presence, man. He doesn't need to be a whispery little voice with a horrible makeup job I could see even when it's in silhouette. It's just
Yeah. I'm just like
Sorry, go on.
nothing new is done with him anymore. I feel like we need a break from the fucking Joker. Like God damn it. It's or at least if you're going to bring him in at all, bring him in and go all the way. Leave this one to the characters it was about.
My overall thoughts when it comes to the Joker scene and just the Joker in general is, yeah, I do feel the Joker fatigue. And I did think the scene wasn't entirely necessary. Definitely had that sort of post-credit scene feel to it. I don't think it was a result of studio middling though, because like Matt Reeves did have like final say on this one. It was one of those things where he would have not done the film if he didn't. It was supposedly not even a tease for a sequel. It was just a bit of world building to say, yes, the Joker does exist in this universe. Whether we see him or not in the future, we don't know. But I think on one hand, like, yeah, we could afford to go a Batman trilogy that doesn't have the Joker at all. On the other hand, I think while I am a bit jokered out, it's partly because we're pretty overdue a good Joker. Because in the past recently we've had Jared Leto's Joker, who I thought was okay in the Snyder Cut, but previously completely trashed the Joker's image. We had Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which it's okay for what it is, but like I definitely wouldn't consider it the Joker, and again, kind of served as another nail in the coffin for the Joker's image. Another
Actually,
Reddit gamer.
Can we put a pin in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker because I want to go back to that.
Sure.
Okay, sure, but like I kind of feel like the Joker's kind of developed this image of like the oppressed single man, and like I would like to get back to the Joker being this fun villain. So it's like I think we need to sign off on one last fun Joker performance that does it well and doesn't have face tattoos and shit. And like I didn't think the makeup job even looked bad, to be honest. I thought his hair looked very Killing Joke. I noticed he had those very angular eyebrows. And if you look closely, I think you can see his molars appear to be exposed, which leads me to wonder, has his mouth been completely sliced?
Oh, so I'm not the only one that saw that.
Oh, I saw that
yeah,
too.
so
I just
it
didn't think
appears
was
they're
good
going
looking.
down the horror route with the Joker, which I think they need to do now. But I'll say this. Don't put him in the second film. Don't make the mistake that every other live action Batman film has made and peak too soon with the Joker. It's confirmed that this is going to be just a trilogy and nothing more than that. So put the Joker in the last one if you're going to give him an extended role.
Yeah, I'd like to get hyped up for a third movie Joker. That'd be nice. I know we didn't have much of a performance to go off of there. I was not impressed though.
I thought he was fine.
I thought he was okay. It was fine. Yeah.
I didn't really have anything to say about him any which way. But as soon as he started talking, I was kind of like, that sounds very Jokery. And then he mentioned clown. I was like, oh, yep, there we go. He's the Joker.
Oh, I knew exactly who it was. As soon as another voice piped in from another cell, I was like, God damn it. I know what they're doing.
Yeah. I thought, his laugh was fine. It at least sounded like a laugh. It's not my favorite Joker laugh so far, but
yeah, it didn't sound like
like
Batman tripping his engine again.
Like it sounded like a proper like it sounded like the guy is actually amused by what's going on. But the thing I mainly noticed here was that scene where the Riddler meets the Joker there is so close, is almost identical to the ending of Gotham Season 4's mid-season finale, where the Penguin gets committed to Arkham and meets Jerome. And I was just like, oh, it's like Gotham. I like Gotham. Remember Gotham? And I get it's a case of me enjoying the member berries, but like, yeah, I enjoyed the member berries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did nothing for me, but take me out of what I was enjoying out of an ending. Because one moment I'm feeling happier than I have in a while because I'm just seeing Batman against the sunset with a thankful civilian grabbing him by the arm and just trying to hold on to the image of a hero, and him just like nodding at them in a moment of comfort. And I'm like, that is the best thing ever. And it's all I've wanted out of Batman.
Oh god, also just the whole thing of Batman being reborn as an icon of hope out of literal flood. Like that is amazing.
They were literally wiping the slate clean. The sins of the father were being washed away. It was how fucking cool. Like visually, this is a brilliant film. there's so much there that I'm just it's something I like about The Dark Knight, where it's the more you think about it, the more you kind of see a lot of these layers
Yeah.
and how a lot of these elements connect into each other, and I love that. It feels like it was a thoughtfully written script.
Yeah. It's not perfect. No movie truly is, to be honest, but like it is very, very thoughtfully put together. And like I also like that third act is really, really strong. I've seen a lot of people saying it's really weak because the first and second ones were very detective-y and this one's all action, but you gotta pay it off. You can't end the movie with Batman be like, oh look, more clues. But like that whole final battle at the Square Garden and atop like the lighting bit and like how the mayor gets killed and then Bruce is
Yeah.
rescuing people. The bit where
Well,
he
the mayor.
shoots the adrenaline into himself as well and he goes ham.
Well, remember
Mayor
the
didn't
mayor
die.
didn't get killed. She got the mayor-elect got shot in the
Oh yeah, no,
side.
I
She was
remember now.
singing,
Yeah, I remember seeing that actually. I was like, are they where she's doing like that conference? And I was like, are they? Is she in the water right now, or are they on like a rooftop or something?
yeah. I uh yeah, it was I liked the conclusion again because it's like how often do you see like them go that hard? Like Gotham doesn't just come back from that. And I want to see a version of Gotham again. We have a Gotham with a visual identity that is unmatched. And I want to see where they go from there. I want to see if they're doing a sequel and they want to do a trilogy. I want to see another villain that has maybe been done once or twice, but hasn't gotten a huge amount to shine yet. And I'm not sure what it is about like the underwater portions of the city that are making me think this. I kind of want to see Mr. Freeze.
Same. He's the top of my list for villains that I want to see. The absolute tippy top.
Yeah, especially with the way that they depicted the Riddler in this film, and they kind of like added a new sense of life to him and a twist on him that I've not seen before, where it's familiar and I understand the character that it's based on, but it feels like something very much its own, and that's definitely something I would like to see from Freeze.
The
Now if they want to,
the only thing I ask of them, because I know that these movies are reinterpretation stuff, the only thing I ask is that Mr. Freeze still has a big bubble over his head, or like a helmet or something.
He loves his
They did it
bubble
with
villains.
Mysterio. Like they did it with, yeah, I like villains that have bubbles on their heads, okay? But like here's the thing, if we look at every live action Mr. Freeze, so there's the one in Gotham and then there's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not a single one of them had a bubble over their head. I need him to have a bubble over his head.
Schwarzenegger's Freeze kind of had a
It wasn't a full bubble. It wasn't going over his face. It went over the back of his head, but like he didn't have a bubble over his face. He needs the bubble.
You might be disappointed. I'm surprised though, because I mean Matt Reeves recently said that he would be interested in Freeze, and I would figure that'd be one of the villains off the table in terms of this grounded reality. But he does have one of the most one, I don't know if it's most important. It might be one of the most important, but one of the most memorable sad tales out there, and that's mostly thanks to the animated series. So I wouldn't hate it. I don't know if they'll do it next or not. We obviously have our Joker hint, and I do wonder if they're going to continue on with the Wayne mysteries and the Arkham stuff with either Court of Owls or Hush. Riddler does look a lot like Hush in this movie, and I was wondering if he was like he got inspired by him. Or
well,
something like that.
I thought that when he was watching the video, that Riddler left for the news media, and it literally said "hush" over the screen.
So blatant, Jesus Christ!
And I was just like, "Oh, I see."
Yeah.
I mean, maybe what they did was they maybe rolled the two of them into one a little bit. I don't know, but like,
I was thinking that while I was watching the movie, like, oh, it's going to end up being this guy who has this deep connection with Bruce Wayne. Then nope.
they've expressed kind of interest in Mr. Freeze, Hush, and the Court of Owls for future movies. So I think, those are things we could see. I think the Court of Owls would make a lot of sense for this series.
Oh, for this universe, holy shit!
They'd have to make it interesting. I haven't actually read the Court of Owls comic. The only thing I know of the Court of Owls is what they did in the second half of Gotham Season 3, and I have to say it was the most boringest part of that show. But, like, I'm hoping that... I've heard the comic is really good, so maybe they'll do that.
I highly recommend Court of Owls.
I'll give it a read, but I gotta take a piss real quick. I'll be right back.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Good job. Real neat. Yeah, I overall I definitely like this movie. It's one I would like to watch again. I don't know if Pup is familiar with the War of Jokes and Riddles, but they might also be teasing at that as well. It's a more recent Tom King arc, which he did after Scott Snyder, who did that crazy long run with Court of Owls and then Death of the Family, stuff like that. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it though. Thinking of Death of the Family, I guess a more horrific, mutilated Joker would be on the table because they are taking a lot of cues from like the history of Batman, but it seems like a lot of recent Batman is in here as well.
Yeah. I think it was just that, like, for a while there, it felt like they didn't know what to do with DC stuff without doing the Joker, especially if it was centered around Batman. But sometimes not even that. Injustice couldn't even get away from it. It still had to center around the freaking Joker.
Yep.
And I remember the first instance of feeling that fatigue. I like this game more than most people do. But Arkham Knight,
Yeah.
where I was just like, oh.
Oh, was it
Okay.
Arkham Knight for you?
I haven't played Origins. I know what happens in that one, but I haven't played that one yet, so I didn't get that initial feeling. I honestly would have liked it if Arkham City was the last we'd seen of that character for a while.
I didn't mind him in Night. I did mind him in Origins. I wanted a black. I wanted simply on Black Mask. I wanted to focus strictly on him. And I mean, we really gotta review those games.
You and me both. People keep requesting the Arkham games for me.
Yeah. Origins would fit perfectly for a game. I mean, both Origins and Night, those get a lot of heat from the fan base, and they're both perfectly fine games. Just
I heard Origins was good.
Origins is good. It's good. It's just more. It's just more Arkham, less car.
Yeah, which I like Arkham.
Yeah.
Arkham Asylum is one of my favorite Metroid games I've ever played.
Yeah, I mean it's third-person Metroid Prime, without a shadow of a doubt. I love that game. I absolutely adore it. It's one of my favorite games ever created.
Oh yeah, we got a copy traded in at work recently. That was a version I had never seen for the 360. I guess it's a collector's edition of some kind. It's very small in scale of Arkham Asylum, the first one, and you open it up and the discs are just tape reels.
So, Wayne, what that actually is, that is a part of the overall collector's edition of that game. Have you ever seen that?
I have not. I need to look this up then.
That comes in a giant batarang-shaped case that comes with a batarang on display. You can't remove the fucking display from the batarang. But that was really cool for me because that was like one of the first like over-the-top big bundle collector's editions I saw.
I was working this.
Yeah. So I was super ecstatic when that came in. I was working at GameStop when that game came out. And like we like threw like a midnight release. Everybody dressed up as Batman. I drew a bunch of crazy shit for it. It was a great old time. I love that game. It means so much to me.
Yeah, dude. Like nights like that. Like I'll never forget opening night or release night for Breath of the Wild. I've shared that story before.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this collector's set is very pretty. I'm gonna have to see if I can hunt this down. Arkham Asylum is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
It is very, very good. I like City too, but once the games got bigger and it felt like there was a little too much to do. Arkham Asylum is the only one I ever bothered completing the Riddler shit with.
Yeah, the Riddler stuff gets out of hand after the first game. I like how condensed it is. I like the premise behind it. I like just every inch of that setting is so beautifully crafted. I mean, the boss fights suck dick, but outside of that, wow, what a game. You know, Wayne, maybe we should talk off air about potentially doing some kind of collaboration.
I've
You know,
returned.
yeah, Nick, that is a great idea, especially since we're both planning on talking about those games to begin with.
Yeah, and me and Pup have definitely had conversations about other games in that particular series.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
we talked about doing potentially Arkham Origins.
Right. Since
And
you and I have played that, we should maybe do something about that.
I'm wondering-
like Arkham Origins is the only Arkham game where the story isn't kinda a piece of shit. Like the thing is, they all have really great moments in their stories that I love, but none of them are fit to be like movie narratives or anything. They are game narratives, and that's that.
Yeah,
And
out of
especially
the
Knight, what a fucking mess that story is. Even though
Yeah.
Arkham Knight is probably my favorite of the bunch, what a fucking shit show of a story that has. Like, it gives the Batman 10 fucking reasons to hallucinate the Joker when it only needed one. Magic blood? Go fuck yourself. He's got fear toxin. He's having grief issues. That's all he needs. You don't need fucking blood that turns people into the Joker, you goddamn asshole. But
yeah,
then there's
that
Arkham
was
Origins.
stupid.
Arkham Origins, where it's just 8 assassins after the Batman. They've been ordered by the Joker. It's all good. It's all gravy, baby.
They blew their load way too early in that game. Deathstroke should have been a multi-layer fight throughout the game.
I still love the electrocutioner fight though, and how it kind of
Yeah, I
Don't
love the
spoil it.
name
Don't spoil it for anybody.
Electrocutioner.
don't spoil
It's
it. This
fucking
is
funny.
Oh, has he not played it?
I've not played Origins.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I-
I'll keep quiet.
I know what happens in it. But yeah, I do still want to like sit down and
Yeah,
play
so-
through that one.
Mysterio from Spider-Man 2, basically.
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
So, The Batman. Would you say it's the best movie ever or the worst movie ever?
Are we now what's that podcast called?
Oh yeah,
Australians.
Mr. Sunday Movies,
Mr.
isn't
Sunday
it?
Movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're
Yeah,
not
let's
doing-
let's
we're
do a
not
little
aping
nod
them.
to them.
We're not aping them.
Well, let me tell you, I
I
had the
love
history
them.
with horribly botched foreign accents. Let me take a crack at this.
Time to end the show. It's time to go. We're done.
Okay,
No,
okay, so best Batman movie ever then, or worst thing ever conceived? There.
Worst thing ever conceived. But seriously though, it is definitely up there, upper echelon. I like it when it becomes like we have enough stuff. We have enough content, especially superhero movie content, even and specifically Batman. I'm thinking about it, that it's hard to really do like a definitive number one forever because they all bring something different to the table. But like you said in your own video, I do like how this is embracing so much of the source material and really bringing it to the big screen in ways that ironically has not been done before when you consider how many different versions of Batman we have. But what I like about Batman, and I guess I don't ever get truly sick and tired of it, is it's always such a refreshing difference from every other superhero thing happening out there, especially in a world ruled by Marvel. I mean, the DC stuff, love it or hate it. I mean, I know, Pup, you love what they've done. I do think we all agree they're kind of in a confusing mess right now, but they always seem to nail Batman, which
Dude, I've
so
repeatedly
lovely.
said that the DC universe right now is a fucking calamity.
yeah, but
I constantly bag on them repeatedly over and over again.
I appreciate that they at least understand, because this, by every understandable measure, this should have been a nightmare. Because originally it was going to be Batflick, and then directed by him, but then not directed, but he'll still be playing him. But then nope, not at all anymore. It's just, it's amazing that this movie came about and was as good as it was, and it is still a refreshing difference from everything going on, both from DC and from Marvel. So I loved it.
Yeah. Just kind of get my final thoughts on it. Again, something that I loved about the first 10 minutes of the movie, and something that I definitely felt it continued throughout the entire experience, was this was the equivalent of watching somebody with an absolute vision, a filmmaker, and a dedicated and incredibly talented crew that came in to make a film. It wasn't just, scratching everything off a docket. I like Marvel movies. I like the MCU, but sometimes I want something that feels a little less factory driven or factory made. I want something that feels like a singular vision, a singular idea, and just brought to life. That's what this was, and I really enjoyed it. I've actually come to enjoy it a little bit more after talking with you guys about it, and I cannot wait to buy the 4K Blu-ray, Steelbook, whatever that ends up looking like for this movie.
Better come in a fucking bat-shaped box or I riot.
So, how would you guys say it stacks up against other Batman films?
I'd say it's
Top
up
3
there.
for me.
Top 3.
Top 3.
So I would say, like, if it's not the best Batman movie, then it's the best live-action Batman film. And again, as I say in like my other video, it's like comparing apples to oranges because like there are so many good Batman movies already. Batman '89, Batman Returns, The Dark Knight, phenomenal movies and such. And I wouldn't say that this movie is necessarily any better than them as a movie, but I would say it is the one that lines most up with my idea of who Batman's supposed to be. And it's my favorite of the bunch for that reason. My favorite DC movie, though, still going to be the Snyder Cut for now. But, like, you know, we'll see how things play out. Does it change the fact that I miss Batfleck? No, it doesn't change that. But I would definitely say that the Batman presented in this is definitely a quintessential Batman.
There you go. All right. Well, I think, Wayne, you already said your piece.
I did.
Yeah. Guys, I think we're good and wrapped up. Did we miss anything? I think we covered it all.
Well, I miss Batfleck, but, like, yeah.
I swear to
God
God.
damn it.
I miss Cavill more, to be fair.
Well, before that turns into another one of those podcasts, I think it's
Henry
time
Cavill was a brilliant Superman. Warner Brothers should be throwing all the money in the world at that guy. And I'm doing a bit. And like they should just fucking.
So if you guys want to see
it takes to
more
keep him
of
in there.
this nonsense, you go visit
And
Channel Pup at
personally,
his
I think
channel.
that Henry Cavill's a really good.
He
Superman
talks
to
like
see.
this all the time on his videos. If you have not been
Over.
aware of that already, and he has
Nick, I'm doing a bit. And
Oh
yeah,
my
like
God.
honest to goodness, like a Man of Steel 2 is well in order. Although I did love Peacemaker. Just go over me.
What are you? I know you're doing a bit. For fuck's sake, that's why I was talking. Wayne, when's your Sonic 2 video coming out?
And
Sonic 2 video, I'm working on it. I'm finishing some stuff up for it. I'm hoping it's going to come out next Sunday. So a week from today, it ideally should be releasing publicly for everybody. It should be up for top tier patrons if you want to be one of those on Friday, probably after our podcast. That is the current plan.
One for me, not really.
So if you want to see more of my stuff, we are finishing up this current run of
for it,
Sonic
you know?
speed reading.
And,
I
like,
should have that new video up for my patrons up tomorrow. Up for everybody else on Wednesday, and then by the end of the week, I should hopefully have the first video for the Mega March Madness going, and we're getting out of here.
At the same time, we are at least getting